Just all around amazing individual, and she's going to talk today about branding, social media, and I would love for her to tell us a little bit about what she does in her role.
All right, so I'm Alexis, like Tim said. I am a social media manager, and my job is basically to create content for different brands, content for all the different platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, LinkedIn, YouTube, all of them. And basically create content that informs and also entertains. So a lot of people just tend to forget that you also need to make sure that you're creating content for customers so they can actually do whatever you need. You need them to buy something, download an app, whatever you need them to do. And then I also do a lot of reputation management. So a lot of people tend to forget with their brand that you need to respond to comments. You need to reply to reviews on Google My Business, on Yelp. There's so many times I see businesses that have tons of 1-star reviews, and I'm like, you need to respond to those and get them replied to so people can see that you care about your business. So I do a lot of that, creating content calendars, analytics, and there's a lot that goes into being a social media manager. So.
Not a lot of people know this, though.
Right.
Why do you think people don't realize that social media is a full-time job?
People think I sit on Twitter all day. There are people that send me stuff. They're like, how did you not see this? I said, I really don't sit on Twitter all day. I don't sit on Facebook all day. I am in meetings. I'm trying to create cool content for the quarters coming up, the different months, different weeks, different holidays. There's so much. And then there's always those holidays that slip by, things that you forget. And then you're like, oh, why didn't I think of that? So there's a lot. And then you also have to keep up with the changes that's going on. I mean, one day Twitter has 140 characters. The next day it's 280. There's always something going on. So you have to constantly adjust and test and see like what's happening so that all of your content matches.
Yeah. So with the ever-changing landscape of social media and it being kind of driven by Facebook and Twitter and all these other people in play, like how do you keep up to date? Like how do you find time to always be in the know?
The first 30 minutes to an hour of my day, every day, I'm always reading articles and keeping up with what's going on. That's the first thing I do. I go to Reddit. Reddit has a really cool social media subreddit that I read every day. And the questions that people are asking are the questions that normal consumers, they want to know. So I'm always trying to keep up with what's the new app, what's going on here and there. And then Mashable, I love Mashable, Adweek. Yeah. I always read all these different sources so that I know exactly what's going on, what's the updates. I get emails about like Instagram updates, Snapchat updates. Every time Snapchat does something, then when Instagram comes and does the same thing. Yeah. So, I mean, I have to do that every day. Otherwise, I will be behind. So it's really important to read about what's going on. So that's a really big part of my job because otherwise you're behind and you're not doing it right. So.
And with social media, you always have to be one step ahead. Like it's always about the trend in terms of how do you build engagement, how to reach your audience, and all of that. So you work with some amazing clients, and I think you have a really interesting background because you didn't start in social media. You didn't start saying, hey, I want to do digital marketing. No. You started with a PR background, correct?
Yes. Actually, before that. So when I was an undergrad, I wanted to be an epidemiologist.
An epidemiologist, y'all.
I always wanted to be a doctor growing up. My older brother's autistic, so I wanted to study the spread of diseases. And then when I got to college, I was really interested in journalism. I worked on our student television station. And then I said, oh my gosh, I could be like the next Sanjay Gupta and do science and then also do like the journalism side. And then calculus happened and I said, no, I don't think science is really my thing. So I decided to do PR. That's kind of like when Scandal first started getting pretty big, and I was really into Olivia Pope and Scandal, and social media was really popping. I remember I got a Twitter account my freshman year of college. Wow. And so once that happened, I was gone. I was creating Twitter accounts for all the different organizations I was working with. And there was actually a joke on campus. I went to UNC, and there was a joke where all these different accounts, people were like, is this Alexis behind this Twitter account? Because I was running Black Student Movement account, student government, a committee I was on, student television, and then I had a talk show on the student television station. So I would be walking to class, like tweeting from all these accounts, like boom, 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 just knocking them out. So I feel like that's how I got started with social media management and just trying to like balance all the different accounts that I had. So I've always loved Twitter. Facebook has been hit or miss for me, even though we're on Facebook Live. But I've always loved Twitter, loved Instagram. So I feel like my love for the different platforms changes like every 6 months or so.
So I think it's really interesting about you is that you found a way to use social media, this space that's growing and will continue to grow, to make a career, right?
Yeah.
And really define who you are, and also kind of like do freelance work and connect with people, right?
Right.
For the people who can't do that, for the people who don't know how or don't know where to start, what would you recommend them to do? What are like action steps they can take?
So I really think you need to read up on what's happening. Find a resource that you trust, that you love, maybe Mashable, maybe try to dabble in Reddit. Just find a resource and keep up with what's going on social media. And then you really have to play with it. You have to get hands-on. You have to follow different accounts, follow hashtags, and you really have to engage. So social media is hard for people who are introverts. It's just like a networking event. Whenever you're at an event, you have to go up, shake hands, introduce yourself. It's the same way on social media. Join a Twitter chat, get involved there, follow a hashtag, like pictures, comment. It's all a game. All of that it's a game. So really do that. But then once you have a brand that you really want people to know about, use your tribe that you already have. Use your friends. Let's say that you are a clothing designer and you're getting ready to open a store. The first people you need to reach out to are your friends, your family, your colleagues. Use the network that you already have, and then have them promote for you for free. And then, I mean, that's free publicity. My parents are not on Facebook, for example, but if they were, they would blast all the different things that I'm doing. You know, you're proud. They'll be proud of me. So use the network that you have, people that are already in your corner, to really promote what you're doing. And then from there, a lot of times things will typically, you know, roll on, and then other people will get them. But then you really have to put yourself out there. And that's one thing that I think a lot of people are afraid of with social media. They don't want to put themselves out there. They're afraid, like, well, what if this doesn't work? And you won't really know unless you try. So you really have to do that.
So how has you putting yourself out there, kind of changed your career and, you know, helped you find new clients to work with? Because you also, on top of working full time, you do freelance work on the side. You're always creating content. One, how do you find the time to do all that? But also, how has social media played a role in helping you find new people to connect with and help out?
Well, one thing about putting myself out there, that's actually how I got my first job out of college. So after I graduated from Carolina, I moved to DC. I'm from North Carolina originally, so I spent 22 years of my life in the same 30-mile radius. So I said, I have to get out of here and go somewhere else. I love Raleigh, though. Much love. So I moved to DC, and I saw that there was this tech startup that was looking for brand ambassadors. And so I had to put myself out there. I said, hey, you know, I'm interested in working as a brand ambassador, but do you need social media help? I see y'all have, you know, some cool things going, but I can, you know, do even more. They didn't have a posting or anything. I just said, hey.
They didn't realize how good you were.
They didn't know. So I went in for an interview, and then I was an intern. 3 months later, I was a contractor, a full-time contractor. 3 months after that, they told me we were acquired by Mercedes-Benz, and I moved to Austin, Texas. So that's how I got here. So the company was Ride Scout, and I was a social media manager. I mean, I was 23 years old managing social media for a tech startup owned by Mercedes in Austin. Like, sometimes I don't even believe that really happened.
Inception.
Right. It's just like crazy. And so I really had to put myself out there. If I didn't send that email, if I didn't go to that interview, if I didn't say like, hey, do you need help? I wouldn't have had that job, and I wouldn't be in Austin. I have no idea where I would be if I didn't get that job. Wow. And so you really have to put yourself out there with social media and go for the different companies that you see. Like, there are so many companies that I reach out to, and I say, hey, do you need social media help? I'm available. Sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no. I manage social media for the Andy Roddick Foundation here in town. And I actually got that job through a colleague of mine who was on the leadership council there. But once the event that I was helping them out with was done, they asked me if I still wanted to continue managing social media. And I said, of course. So you kind of have to take the opportunities that come to you, but you also have to go after the things you know you want. Just because there's a company that you really want to work with and they don't have the job opening, they don't have the marketing job, a social media job, whatever job you're looking for, ask, because maybe the job posting hasn't gone live yet. Maybe it goes live next week, or maybe it's something that they didn't think they need. And then whenever you pitch yourself, then they're like, oh, we actually do need that. So you really have to do that. Create a website, have your website out there, pub it to people, pub it to friends and family, and get them to ask their networks if there's anyone that really needs social media help, and go from there, really.
That's amazing. You've, I think, figured out what you want to do in your career and have really defined it. Who's helped you kind of define that path? Because it wasn't, a streamlined linear path. You kind of, did PR and then got into other different facets of social media. So who were the mentors in your life?
So I feel like one of my closest mentors here in town is one of my old colleagues, Meta Schultz. She worked with me at Ride Scout, and she was just so awesome because she obviously had already been in her career, and she's, worked in different companies, but she really knows digital marketing. And so I would always ping her at work on Hip Chat and say hey, I need help with this. Can you show me how to really dig into Twitter ads, do all that? And then she would stay with me after work hours and show me different things. Wow. And I mean, to this day, we obviously don't work at the same company anymore, but we will meet up for happy hour. We chat on Slack, and she's really been a person to help me. Anytime I have a question, it's I have a question about this, or how should I word this in this pitch here. And she's just totally awesome. And so she's been a really good mentor to me. And then one of my friends from undergrad, Renshawn Miller, I don't know if Renshawn's watching, but I don't know. Watching. He sent me a good luck text about an hour ago. But he has been a really good mentor to me too, because even though we're not that far apart in age, he has done so many different things in the world of marketing. He's a mental health advocate. He's been on the Breakfast Club. He was on Breakfast Club earlier this year, and he has a really good social media presence. So he's been able to teach me different things regarding public speaking, and then the right ways to really charge when it comes to rates and things of that nature. Yeah. So I think it's really good to have mentors who maybe are the same age as you, maybe even just 1 or 2 years, but they've still done something totally different, maybe even in a different field. And then maybe have a mentor that's a few years older who has been in their career a little longer. So I think having those two different types of mentors has been really good for me.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. Y'all heard it here. Someone who really knows how to go for it, and with the help of mentors has been able to figure it out. So now we're going to open the floor up for questions. I'm going to check my phone now. I know some of y'all are watching live. I'm not using my computer again because it's fancy in here. So, okay, we have some questions already flowing in.
Okay.
All right, so what are some great video editing apps to use when uploading on social media apps?
So I actually don't use video editing apps because I feel we have a video team who kind of does all of that on the back end. But I feel whenever you are uploading to any social media platform, the one thing that I always try to remind people is to hold your phone landscape. I hate when I see people recording things and the phone is upright, because whenever you upload to social media, the screen is this way.
Yeah.
So you need to turn your phone that way so that your video fits the screen correctly.
Yeah, that's actually a tip.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know this.
Yeah, I don't do a lot of video editing because, like I said, we have a team that does that professionally. But I mean, there are definitely tons of apps out there that you can search that on Reddit too. So
yeah.
Sorry.
So how can this is a question from McKinley? How can she use social media to plan events such as a wedding?
Hi, McKinley. So I think when it comes to wedding, the coolest thing that I think has started is people creating a hashtag for their wedding and then using it throughout the wedding. So even when you get to the wedding. So I think it would be cool if I went to a wedding and I saw a screen, kind of like a tent screen. Tent is a company that basically kind of aggregates a hashtag from all the content from Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and has it all there. So then you could see the couple's story from the moment they got engaged to the wedding. So you could see people's pictures from the bachelor party, if there are bachelor party pictures, bachelor party, bachelorette party, bridal shower, and have it all right there in the same place. I think that's pretty cool, but a lot of people obviously are using Pinterest to help plan weddings. I mean, Pinterest is wedding central. I mean, there is so much content there. But I definitely think starting with the hashtag, going there. I think some people are even Facebook living their weddings and stuff now. That's pretty interesting.
That's actually amazing.
I actually saw there's a job in a hotel in New York, and their job is to do social media for a wedding. That's your full-time job. People can pay the hotel to pay this person to live tweet their wedding.
What?
That's pretty interesting. I would do that if anyone wants.
There's a job for anything now.
If anyone wants to pay me, I will do that. I will do that. McKinley, I'll do that for you for free. So you already know it. As long as I have a +1. That's the inside joke.
So, can you talk about creating distribution channels? I know this is something that you're familiar with.
Like, do they give any other details there?
No details. It's a question from Brian. Just creating distribution channels. How do you go about it? What do you think about?
Trying to see, I may need a little bit more details exactly what he means. Because the first thing that popped in my mind was Instagram pods, but I'm not sure if that's what he means.
Okay.
But Instagram pods is like, that's how a lot of people are getting their information out, distributing it to their friends. Because, Instagram, obviously, they have all these crazy algorithms and stuff. Now, the longer you're on a post, the longer Instagram will show it on people's timelines. So people are now creating Instagram pods, so you can drop photos in the pods and say, hey, y'all, like, I just posted this picture, go engage on it. So that's a really big distribution method, especially like in the high school and college communities. So people are like really killing that. But of course, newsletters are also really big. I feel like anyone who is creating a lot of content really needs a good newsletter. If you have a website and you're pushing out 2-3 blogs a week, you need to also have a newsletter to push that out to people, collect email addresses, obviously, send out this newsletter, and then also include other content that's going on in the industry. So I think email newsletters are really the way to go, even though a lot of people aren't doing them right. And a lot of people are just not doing, because I get a lot of email newsletters and I'm just like, how did I even get on this list? This does not look good. Like,
you can't subscribe to someone if they haven't given you permission.
And I unsubscribe quickly. But even like the look of the newsletter oftentimes is just a little off.
So I think that this actually leads me to ask you a question, and questions are just flowing in. Keep it up, y'all. Messenger bots. Like, are you familiar with that space and how, conversational messaging and not, they're like going to be the new newsletters in the future. What's your thoughts on that?
I think it's pretty cool because I think at almost any time you can chat with someone, you can get a response back, or chat with a bot and get a response back. My mentor Meredith is actually like really into that. Like, she loves bots. So I think that's pretty cool. It kind of scares me sometimes because I'm like, well, am I going to have a job with that, like, in the future? But I think it's pretty cool, especially when you go to websites, like even like outside of Facebook Messenger, whenever you go to websites and you can chat with people like on a website and get the information you need quickly, I think that's pretty awesome.
That is a great use case for them. So this question is from Melissa. What do's and don'ts do you have for topical content or jumping on to recent pop culture events and happenings?
I think it's really important for people to do their research whenever there's like a hashtag that just popped up. Like, for example, I remember this was like years ago when I was an undergrad. The hashtag, I believe, was Cairo was trending on Twitter. And then like Michael Kors had like a new bag or something, and they were pumping their bag through the hashtag because I think that was the name of the bag. And then it was actually like a really big like uprising in the city. So I really think you need to pay attention to these hashtags and trends and what's going on, because you can really jump on a trend that is something totally different than what you think it is. And then it can really hurt your brand in the long run, especially people who like to plan their content out in advance. Because I remember another time when I was working for Ride Scout, we were a transportation company. And so I had a tweet already planned about Philadelphia and the train system there. And then that same morning there was a train accident and a few people died. And then I remember I had that tweet and I went and deleted it before it even went out because I didn't want people to see it. And they're like, why are you tweeting about this positive story when this is happening? Like, you have to know. You really have to know whenever you have content that is already planned, because that content can really hurt you if it goes out and you forget.
Bad timing.
Right. I think my mic might have fallen out there. I hope you can still hear me. We're live, so you never know.
So Demetrius just asked, also, what's a good book you've read on social media marketing that you would recommend?
Jab, 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 Right Hook. Gary Vaynerchuk.
She's a huge Gary Vaynerchuk fan.
I love Gary Vaynerchuk. That book is great because it lays out all the different social media platforms, and it really just explains how social media should be done. Whenever you're creating content, you don't want to always sell to people. We're tired of being sold to. Everything is an ad these days. So you want to give people cool content. Give them something here, something here, something here. Then hook them. Say, hey, these are cute pants. These are cute shoes. Like, just take a look at them. Then it's like, boom, come in and buy it. So you really want to make sure that you're not forcing things to people like all the time, because then they will get annoyed with your brand and they will not want to participate. They will not want to purchase whatever you have. They will not want to download your app. You really kind of have to know your audience and not attack them at all times. So read that book. I love Gary Vaynerchuk.
I have that book, so if anyone's in Austin and wants me to share it with them.
Yes, I have it too.
We'll share it with you.
My old boss actually gave it to me, and then she said I could keep it. So she gave it to me to read. She let me borrow it, and then she said you can keep it.
He said, Dimitri said, hey, reading now. So he's on it.
There you go.
He's on it. So this question from McKinley, and I'm going to have one more question for you.
Okay.
McKinley asked, what are your tips for being active on social media while not crossing the line and posting something that could be used against you later by an employer? And I think a lot of people have the same question.
People do not. I tell people all the time, go back and clean up your platforms, especially if you want to be a person in the public eye, or even if you don't want to be in the public eye and you are job hunting. I mean, people tend to forget this all the time. Every so often, maybe once a quarter, go through and clean up your photos, like Facebook photos from high school, college, hide those albums, or just delete pictures if you don't want them out there, because really there's no such thing as hiding anything on the internet.
At all.
It is there. You don't want people to find it. But I often will search my tweets, like just with like my Twitter handle, YetSlex, and then certain terms, and just see what comes up, because who knows what I was talking about in 2008, 2009. Yeah. I mean, I was in college. It was a different time. There's no excuse for it, but that stuff will come up to haunt you. I mean, that's exactly what's happening right now in the world. You don't want these things to come back. So I would definitely just scrub through my social media accounts as often as I can. I go through my Instagram accounts. I look through comments. I mean, I pretty much do it all. And I'm sure there's someone right now trying to scrub through my stuff to see what they could find. But maybe take it platform by platform. Once a quarter, just go through and see what you have out there. I tell my friends do that all the time. If I know if they have something big coming up, I'm like, you need to go through and see what people may find about you, because you don't want your big moment overshadowed by something crazy that you tweeted, I don't know, like I said, in 2010 or during a presidential election or something like that. So that's my number one thing I always tell people.
That's great advice. That's a great question, by the way. So my last question is, why is personal branding and understanding how to define your personal brand so important to people?
Because your brand is who you are whenever you walk out of the room. You want people to know you wherever you are, even if you're not there. So I feel like you really need to define your personal brand, like who you are, so then whenever you're telling a story about whatever you're trying to advertise, it still flows and people feel like they know you, so they then want to purchase or download or visit whatever website you're advertising. So get your brand together and people will be attracted to you, and then they'll be attracted to whatever you're trying to sell to them.
Love it. And you heard it from the social media master, content creator connoisseur, all around brand strategist. Right here in the room. So thank you for coming, Alexis. I appreciate it. You are the fourth guest in this. There will be many more. We really appreciate your time. People were just asking questions,
and I'll try to go through and reply to any questions that are still there. So.
Because guess what, she's part of the community group too. So if anyone ever has any questions about branding, social media, you can just shoot them in the group, whether it be for your business or your own personal brand. I'm sure she'll be able to jump in.
And if there's anyone out there that needs social media help, maybe you want someone to manage your accounts, you don't really know what you're doing, or you want someone to write a social media strategy, do an audit, I'm here. So let me know, because I'm always looking for new clients and new things. And I also want to take a moment to shout out the Black Burdell. I'm wearing their Minding My Business shirt.
I love it.
I spoke at a conference in Atlanta a few weeks ago, and I got the shirt, and I said, I need to save this for a cool occasion. So the Black Burdell on Instagram and Facebook.
And also, where can people follow you?
So my usernames are YetSlex. That's Twitter. That is Instagram. I'm Alexis Davis on Facebook. I'm a lot of other places. Alexis M. Davis, I believe, is my LinkedIn handle. So, follow me, ask me any questions. LinkedIn. Yes. Yeah. And my website is thecontentplug.co, not .com, .co, because I am just that cool.
Amazing.
So, thecontentplug.co.
So, thank you, Alexis. Yes. Thank y'all for watching live. For the person watching this later on, thank you for watching. Hopefully, you enjoyed it. And you found a lot of value in it. And, we'll see y'all later, and we're out.
Bye.